Hello and welcome back to My Life's Toil. If you're new here, thank you for joining me. If you've come back to see more, thank you again, and especially thank you to the subscribers. I'm Neil. I've just started my 8th week on Mounjaro. Today's week 8 start, meaning today's injection, which you will see later on this video, will be my 8th jab, or my 4th one on the 5 milligram doses after stepping up from 2.5s. It's been quite a roller coaster of a ride, actually, on Mounjaro. I started on 2.5s. I was debating at the end of week 4 whether to go up to the 5s or stay on 2.5s. I was very in between, but I did move up, obviously. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how it's been. I noticed an increase in the minimal side effects, such as constipation, which for me tends to be the main one. Also, I had some quite heavy nausea. This wasn't helped with having a bit of a tummy bug last week, which I don't normally suffer with, but I had been in contact with some people that had viral bugs, and I think that's where it came from. That did clear up. My food cravings have come back to me like they always do, no matter what dose I've been on. The 5s did help more with that. On the 2.5s, I noticed food cravings tended to come back on day 4 and actually went away again on day 5, which was unusual. But certainly on the 5s, for me, the cravings usually are towards the end of the week. So I was craving a little bit yesterday, and today is new jab day, so that should see me in good stead. I need to talk about going up the doses, because I've always advocated that if the dose that you're on is working for you, and the lower dose is always said to be better, because the higher the dose, the higher the risk of the nasty side effects, which, as always, I'll put here. It's very important to listen to what your body's telling you if you're just starting out on this journey. But this channel is all about using the experiences of people that have been using Mounjaro or weight loss injections in general, and sharing that advice. And as I always say, we have some really good feedback, some really good people, lots of people at different stages of their journeys that follow our channel on here, and I put it out there as well. A couple of things I wanted to discuss in today's video, one of which, as I've just touched upon, is will I be stepping up to the 7.5s? No, I've already decided that the 5 milligram doses are currently enough for me, and I will be doing another 4 weeks just on the 5s. Feel it works for me. My losses have been really good. We'll get to the weigh-in later as well. We'll get to the injection later on, and we'll have a little chat, but also what people have given into the channel as well. So it's all about sharing good information, and we're all different. We all get different good experiences and bad experiences, and we all eat differently as well. So, but a little bit more about why I won't be going up to the 7.5s. I've always advocated. Now, I work in primary care. I'm a paramedic. I used to be on the ambulances, on the emergency side of things, but now work in primary care, where I do have face-to-face consultations with patients, just on an acute medical level. But I do work alongside GPs, doctors, physician associates and nurses and all sorts. And I get a lot of good feedback, and I'm always talking about Mounjaro and the effects it can have. And one of the early things I learned was, and as I've mentioned, the higher up the doses you go, and this is documented, the more at risk you are of the serious side effects. This is one of the reasons why I always advocate, as I say, I keep saying it, if the lower dose is working for you, you're losing weight, whether that be fast weight loss, which you don't really want, you want it to be steady. Any weight loss is a gain. I've coined that before, I'll keep using it. But if you're on 2.5 and it's working for you, stay on 2.5. I was really in the balance about moving up to the 5s, but I did. I've noticed nausea was a lot stronger, as I say. Constipation, which is the biggie, that's an ongoing issue. Some of the things like my sleep isn't great. I do feel tired a lot. And just the little niggles that we all complain about, the cold sensations, which I've never suffered with the cold as much as I have recently in all my life. But these are the little prices to pay for becoming healthier. And as I've mentioned before, the reason for me doing this weight loss plan in the first place is my cholesterol was through the roof and my blood pressure was through the roof. And my blood pressure is coming down. I haven't documented that on here again yet, but I will do, because I know it helps a lot of people just to talk about it and just to show how we do these things. But this is the main reason why I won't be moving up, because 5, it's working for me and I'm going to stick to my plan. I always inject into the abdomen, which I'll show you again later. So it will be the 5s moving on for me. Who knows what will happen after next month, but we can only listen to our bodies and take the advice that everyone gives you, especially, and also, I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're thinking about starting this type of plan, if you have underlying conditions and you're not sure whether it's going to be right for you, do your research. We're all adults. We can all make our own decisions, but we must take the right advice. If you think it's going to cause you any problems, speak to someone medical, speak to your doctor, your physician, get the right advice. It's okay coming on here and listening to me and saying, oh, it works for Neil. It can work for me. It might not. And I'm going to share with you some stories today about where it hasn't gone quite right, because I think it's important to, yes, share really good experiences, good examples, but at the same time, there's been some really nasty results for some people and they've had to come off the medication. This is why we need to listen to what our bodies are telling us, and we need to be honest with ourselves. I have to have an end plan. And I think that's a good thing to think about now. What's going to happen in the future? Because I don't think I'll be on this for life. Probably can't afford to be on it for life, to be honest with you, if you're like me and you're paying for it. But at the same time, we need to have a goal. Yes, I've got a goal weight. I've shared that with you before. Mine's 17 stone, which is, I can't remember what it is in kilograms. But when I get there, I really need to have a plan of moving forward. There are maintenance doses, whether that just be a small dose just to help with the cravings, which was my big problem, or do I try and train my mind? And I'd like to think that whilst I've been able to choose better options because the cravings have been less, that I will get into the habit of choosing, and that's what it's all about, using the lowering of the food cravings to choose healthy options. We're going to talk about some of the foods that we can snack on and some of the little things that we sometimes do crave right now. So some of the things that have been advised to me recently, and I'm going to show you a couple of them today. And there's one in particular that I think is quite good. But these pouches, and I've mentioned, I don't know if they're available in other countries, but these are from Aldi. These are what are called the 25-gram protein pouch, or it's 25 grams of protein per pouch. And they're basically like a really thick yogurt drink. And they are nice. I've actually got quite attached to these. Quick fix if you think that you need something. Sometimes you just don't feel hungry on Mounjaro, and we have to remember to eat. Who out there has forgotten to eat? It's happened to me. I do another channel with my son. It's a football channel on YouTube. And the one night I'd started cooking himself some really nice, I put some mackerel in the air fryer, which is probably the worst thing you can do. The house stunk. Anyway, we went out back because we got a deck where we do our football vlogs. And we were out there for hours. And normally I'd be starving and my brain and my tummy would be telling me to eat, but it just didn't happen. This was at the start of my Mounjaro journey. And anyway, at the end of the night, came in and it was like, yeah, I'm going up to bed now. It's late. I'm tired. Walked through the kitchen. Oh, smell fish. And I was like, my tea. I hadn't eaten since lunchtime that day. And this was like 9 o'clock at night. We forget to eat. And this was on the 2.5. So this can happen. And I know it's not the same for everybody. So you have to remember to eat and importantly, take plenty of fluids. And if you just like push yourself if you feel a bit snacky, use a protein pouch. That's one of the things. This one was recommended to me and they're by Warrior and they're called Raw Protein Flapjacks. These aren't cheap, to be honest with you. These are the cheaper ones. And this was like a selection pack. You've got different flavors and they're okay. They're full, again, more protein than anything, low in sugar. They're quite dense. They're not delicious. They're okay. How would I describe them? They're a bit like, you know, when you have sawdust, if you've cut some wood and you glue them together, they taste a bit like that as well, to be honest with you. No disrespect, it fills a gap and it makes sure you're getting protein. But the most interesting one I've had is this one here. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this. It's called Supriva. And I've recently been introduced to this flavour powder called Supriva, which is a low calorie, low fat flavouring powder. And there's 3 flavours. Now, this one has been sent to me by the manufacturers. There's chocolate, vanilla cream, and the one I've got is butter biscuit. And to be fair, I only had this like late last week. And when I opened it, the smell was amazing, to be honest with you. And as you do, it's like a child with a new toy. I opened it and I wanted to use it straight away. So I did myself a milkshake. You only need a tiny, tiny bit. It's absolutely so strong. You don't need much at all. And this milkshake was amazing. It was like butter biscuit milkshake. It was really nice, to be honest. And also the other thing that I tried it on, because like some of the times when I don't have my fuel on the weekends, I'll just have some normal oats. You can have just a sprinkle there and it just flavours it up really nice. So I wished I'd got the other flavours actually to give them a go, because it really is nice. So the main thing to remember, if you do get some of this powder, and I'd really recommend it is nice, is that you need just the tiniest of amount, and that pot there will last me a long time. So I will get the chocolate one. I wish I'd gone for the chocolate one. I fancy that one as well now. But that, you know me and chocolate. I've been in touch with the company, and I said, look, I'll give you a mention and tell them. And I only said that I'd mention it, or told myself that I'd mention it if it was good. And it actually is good. So if you are interested, I'll put the link on for their site where you can get an order. And if you use Neil10, which I'll put on the screen, you will get a discount of 10% on it. Let me know if you get it, how you're getting on, because it'd be interesting to know, because I think it's lovely. I am going to get the chocolate one. So I wanted to move on to some more serious stuff as well now, and that's regarding viewers' experiences with Mounjaro. And I wanted to mention just a few people that have been in touch both through Messenger on Facebook and left comments. And I'm not going to use any names today, although there's good and bad. Excuse me. I think there's some important points that we need to raise and we need to be aware of, like I touched upon at the beginning of the video, because this is a medication that we're on, and and I'm going to put it back up again, and I know it must be annoying people. I'll put the risks back up because we need to be aware of it. When I had that bug last week, I had some tummy pain, and I was acutely aware that if I got serious pains, I would have had to have gone to the hospital. And I think this is how serious we need to take this medication, which is why, and I know people have been talking about changing doses and microdosing and things like that. You've got to be really careful. Stick to the plans, really. That's my advice. As a paramedic, I can't recommend, change your doses. I know I've mentioned in the past that I've considered halving the dose a week. Now, in the medical field, people are split about this, because theoretically it is still the same dose a week. And if you're doing it 3 days apart, as Eli Lilly recommend, it's not designed that way. What I will say, if it's working for you, great. Just be very, very careful. And equally, when you step up a dose, be very careful and just be aware of what's happening with you. If you're not sure about anything that's going on with you and you're not 100% that you're feeling well, or if you're in any serious pain, or if you've got some major changes about how you feel, get seen. So the first comment I wanted to mention, and I'm not going to mention who it was from, and I hope they don't mind me saying this, because this will just make us realise how important it is to be aware of what can happen. And this isn't to scare people off. It is just about raising awareness. This medication is a super drug. It's a super medication, but it's not fit for everybody. And this comment will explain why. Hi, Neil. I told you how I was being so ill, like I've never been in my entire life. And this was on the 2.5 milligrams injection of Mounjaro. I then went on to the 5 milligrams, and by day 3 of continued vomiting of bile, not being able to eat, I was taken to hospital by ambulance. Fast forward 3 weeks, and they are now back to normal, but they'd been told they'd had an allergic reaction. And in fact, the doctor had told them it was like they'd been poisoned. My gallbladder had gone into spasms, and it created a never-ending circle of misery for them. They go on to say they'd been in touch with Eli Lilly, who have responded. And firstly, they are going to get in touch with the supplier, and I won't mention who that was, who they'd signed up with. Then they would like to interview this person over Zoom and discuss the case. And their comments were that they'd been in touch with the supplier, with the pharmacy that had given them the 2.5 and then the 5s, and they told them their concerns about sort of side effects they were having. But even though the side effects were quite nasty, they'd still decided just to put them up to the 5 anyway. And they go on to say that it looks like they're off Mounjaro, the fast track to fitness, as they've called it. But they haven't given up, and they're trying other diets now, which we don't like the word diets, do we? But that's what it is. And they give me some really nice comments about the channel. And you can't help but feel absolutely awful for these people. And I'm hearing a lot, I'm seeing a lot, which is why I've done this today, because, and I've mentioned it before, Mounjaro's not going to suit everybody. You may have a reaction or allergy to the ingredients that's in there. It may just not work for you. We are all different. For the majority, will have an effect, but for others, it will have no effect, or it will have adverse effects as well. So it really makes me feel awful for them. But I hope and I wish you so well, and I hope you're watching, and I hope you stay in touch, because we'd still like to offer whatever support we can through the community that's really good on this channel. So good luck with that one. Next comment. I think I have been very lucky, as I've not had any side effects from taking Mounjaro. I was recommended psyllium husk for constipation before they even took Mounjaro, and that still works for them before. I've had at least 3 comments in the last week about this psyllium. I've never heard of it. I don't even know how it comes. Is it tablet form? It sounds like something you chomp on. So tell me a bit more about it. I haven't looked it up. I haven't Googled it or anything, but I'm hearing that it's good for people that are suffering with the constipation. So that's another one. Psyllium husk. I'll put the name of it on the screen because it begins with a P. It's one of them words. And then we move on to another one. Not wanting to scaremonger, but I upped my dose this week to 7 milligrams. Brackets, yes, I microdosed, not endorsing it, just for reference. And they went from 5 milligrams. And for the first time, I experienced the sulfur burps for 2 days solid, which were rough in capital letters, as well as stomach upset for the past 5 days. I'd rather lose less weight regularly than losing more weight and feeling unwell. I'm likely to drop back down to the 5s next week, as I've not been able to eat properly. Probably why I lost 2 kilograms in the week. There you go. So that's another thing. I've been having like quite a dramatic weight losses, haven't I? And it's not about that for me. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm happy to lose less. And I've got a feeling this week it has slowed down. I don't know why. I haven't weighed myself since you saw it live, but I've just got that feeling. To be fair, I went to the football, as you say, we didn't do very well, but we won't discuss that too much. And well done, Peterborough. I won't talk football on here because some people won't have the foggiest what I'm talking about, and others will be just like, not interested. But so I was out all day Sunday, and I started off, I had a protein bar for the breakfast, one of them cardboard ones. Sorry, Raw, but they do a job, but they're not the greatest taste. You can taste, look, the chocolate orange one's okay. It's got an orange taste to it. Orange cardboard. No, they are good. They have a purpose. Then we got to London, and I was thinking, well, didn't take anything. I'm just drinking loads of water. Ended up at a Subway, and I had just a half one, the 6-inch Subway, which was great for me. I had chicken with some low-fat mayo and loads of salad, and that was good for me. On the way home at the services, though, after the football, we stopped at KFC because I was with my nephew. So we ended up stopping at the services on the M1, I think it was, on the way back. And the only real options was in there was a KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I was thinking, oh my God. And I wasn't really hungry, but I knew I had to eat something. So I just had some of the boneless chicken fillet pieces in the breadcrumbs, and literally half of one of the little portions of chips things. And for me, I was still on plan. Came back home and had some yogurt. In fact, it was the Supriva stuff. I had some plain yogurt with Denny because that's moreish. That is, you could probably do too much of that. So that's how Sunday went. So I managed to stick to plan, but not with the best diet. Couple of other points I wanted to make. Someone has said, I'm disappointed with my weight loss. Just finished my 3rd week and only lost 5 pounds. Expected more, to be honest. Also had constipation and dreadful bloating. Bloating and constipation expected, but 5 pounds. It's a loss. Any loss is good. And losing 5 pounds over 3 weeks isn't a bad thing because it's a loss and it's slower, and you're more likely to keep slower losses off than dramatic losses. And I think that's what we need to think about. I know it's expensive on the way, and if you're using Mounjaro and paying for it yourself, it costs a lot of money. But at the same time, don't rush to it because you will feel lethargic. I do feel tired a lot with the weight I've lost. Another comment I wanted to make, someone in response to the heart attack comment, I was a heart attack waiting to happen. He mentioned that he's an undertaker in his 50s, similar age to me. And he mentioned he'd seen guys of a similar age who died of heart attacks, some as young as in their 30s, which does happen, but they were seriously overweight. And he says that this was the reason that he decided that he'd had enough and needed to get fitter. And he wanted to get down to 14 stone. In fact, he reached 14 stone now, and his ideal weight is going to be 10 stones. And says it all, doesn't it? I've been in a position where I've seen people die young. As an emergency paramedic, I've seen people go out and have MIs, heart attacks, strokes, when they really shouldn't be. And if me mentioning it on here makes people just think twice, think about their health, think about moving forward, because it's taken me such a long time to get to thinking about being healthy. And I've said this early on these videos that I've sat across the desk from people and advised them on their healthy lifestyle and weight when I was a lot bigger than I am now. I'm still big now. I'm still obese. I know the clothing and my face looks a bit thinner, but I've got a long way to go. And I'm really positive about following this through. But it's about lowering my cholesterol, lowering my blood pressure, living a bit longer. Final thing I wanted to mention, because I've got a heck of a lot of people asking this. Hi, where did you buy from? As there's so many websites out there and need to be careful. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Right. I started off with Juniper, who were great, absolutely fine, but I've just cancelled my membership with them. There wasn't a problem. It was just a little expensive for what we got, because basically it started off, I had an ice tape measure, I had a set of Bluetooth scales, which you've probably seen on the last video, and you got whatever support you wanted through the app. And there's also always people commenting and getting in touch. How are things going? Can we help? And as I've said before, I keep saying that, don't I? I get my support through doing this and listening to other people, because I don't know the answers to everything, but there will be not always the answers out there, but good ideas. And as long as it's safe, I'll give it a go. And I will never tell somebody what to do because it worked for me. We always get people saying, oh, well, this worked for me. This is what you need to do. No, you need to do what's right for you. As an adult, you take the advice, you weigh up that information, and you act on it appropriately to what you think works for you, but always seek that advice. And that's what it is. And I don't need an app telling me that, and I don't need to pay extra because this is expensive enough, isn't it? So I've now moved on to one called Checkup, but that doesn't mean I'll stay with them either, because I'm aware that people do move around, and you should be able to do that and shop around as long as you're giving them the right information from the start. When you get in touch with them, you need to tell them that you've been on the plan and you're looking for the next step up, if that's what you're doing, or if you're just continuing like I am and it's been fine. You just be honest with them, and you tell them that, and you might need to show them a bit of proof that you've had a prescription for this before. But that's only like showing the initial pictures, isn't it? Like we probably all had to do at some point as well. and you should be able to move around. I'm aware that it's either an app or a website, and I think it's called, correct me if I'm wrong, Monj, M-O-N-J, where you can type in Mounjaro and it will give you which websites are offering the best prices. That's something. I'll put a link. I'll make sure it's right first, and I'll put a link in the description. And that might help a lot of people out, because this is an expensive game and we want it to work for us. And if we are slower in response to some of the other people, if we are slow responders to it, you get these things called super responders that it works really well for, and you get the slower responders where, as long as it's a loss, it's a loss. But you want it to be as cheap as possible, don't you? So that's that. Couple of things that we need to do before we finish off then. Going to do a bit of a weighing. I'm not going to show you the weighing today. I'm just going to go off and do it now, and then I'll come back and I'll tell you what it is and we'll discuss how it's going. So let's get that done. See you in a minute. I've changed my mind. Let's do the weighing. Well, you'll see me stepping onto the scale, so you know I'm not telling pork pies. So here we are. This is you seeing it as I do for the first time. Hopefully you can see the scales there, and that is, always goes 118.1 it finished on. Right, so that weighing was a bit interesting, wasn't it? And I knew this had happened, to be honest with you. You just get a feeling, don't you, for it? So starting weight, 135.6 kilos, 299 pounds, 21 stone, 5 pounds. Today's weigh-in, yes, a little bit later in the day. It is now lunchtime on Wednesday, when I normally weigh first thing in the morning. But even so, I'm going with it. Today's weighing, 118.1 kilos, 260 pounds, 18 stone, 8 pounds. Now, on Saturday, the weigh-in was pretty much the same. I've lost a pound, and okay, I'm weighing twice a week, but I knew that the slowdown would happen at some point, and it's happening by the looks of it now for me. So what does that do for me? Am I disappointed? No. And did I bring it on because of my mentality? Possibly. Is it all because of that Sunday when I had some KFC and a Subway? No, I don't think so. I was well within the calories, to be honest with you, and I only had 2.5 pieces of chicken fillet. I think it's just slowed down on me. I can't give you an answer. I don't know the science behind it. I don't know why. There are going to be slowdowns. And do you know what? In a way, I'm glad it's happened for the people out there that are having rubbishy losses, because I'm going to use this to push on. I've still got to go to the gym today. I usually try and go on a Wednesday morning, but I haven't been. Is that any different? No, I don't think it is, to be honest with you. I just think I've had a slowdown the second half of this week. Well, it's the start. Yeah, the second half of the week. It's the start of week 8 for me. So let's see how we get on the weekend. It will be Sunday again this week. Still got the jab to go. So stay with me if you want to see the jab. That's coming up next. I will chapter the video so you can skip it, because there's lots of people that come back and keep in touch with the vlog diary that I do. If you don't want to see the jab, move on. But no, not to go on about it. I think that it's still a loss. I've lost a pound. So I'm looking on the bright side. But as I preached, I'm going to use it to, we'll see if I can step it up. But a pound in half a week it's just under a pound, actually, to be honest. And there will be people commenting, it's not quite a pound. Yes, I know. It's a loss. And I'm happy that it's a loss. And I'm happy that it's not a massive loss, to be honest with you, because I want to start feeling a bit better. I don't feel really ill. I just feel lethargic and less energy. But I'm looking at the bigger picture and the end goal. Let's get on with the jab without jabbering on too much, as people that know me by now know that I waffle. Let's go and see the jab. Back into the injection room, also known as the kitchen. So here I am back in the clinic, clinic also known as the kitchen, where I do all food and minor surgery. Cleaning the hands. They were washed before I started with the video in, but give them a good scrub with some alcohol rub. Ideally clean your hands. We know what we're doing with that. Then we have pen. And this will have my last dose. And then for some people, that's the golden shot that's left after that. So again, you're inspecting the pen, making sure there's no cracks, no damage to it. And I'll put my glasses on to do this properly. Like this. Hold it up to the light. That seems absolutely fine. Make sure you have this. Make sure you have this. And you've got one of these to clean the rubber seal on the end of the quick pen. Put that down somewhere safe. Got your sharps bin open, ready to go. As I say, we're looking at this and we're making sure that it's fine. You've already made sure that it's yours. You've already made sure that it's in date. You use it within 30 days of opening. So theoretically, when you give your first jab, that's the first day that you've opened it. You have then 21 days to finish that pen off. People keep it in the fridge and use it for a lot longer. That's against guidelines, but that's totally up to you. Corner of this wipe here, we clean the seal. I still, because it looks grubby to me, so I always, well, you don't need to do that. I know, but I am. My pen. That's that cleaned. Needle. Brand new needle every time. Don't mess around with needles. Don't mess around with health and safety. You don't want to be getting in nasty infections. Now, I don't know if I've mentioned this bit before. This will be something new. If you look in there, let's try and get it in the center of the screen for you. There's a tiny little needle in there as well. That's going to go through into the liquid. So you want to put that as squarely as you possibly can into there and then screw it on. Okay. Now, I've had comments saying that you only need to prime this pen once, and that's the first time you ever use it. That is actually against Eli Lilly, who make this. That's not what they tell us. They tell us that you prime the pen every time. And I've mentioned this many times before. If you don't want to prime it every time, I can't force you to. But I'm just going with what the manufacturer and the people that make this tell us. Anyway, that one comes off here. That one we keep because we're going to dispose of the needle in that into the sharps bin. That is another little shield on the top of the needle here. And as I always show you, that is tiny. That's a subcutaneous needle that will go into the fatty layer beneath the skin. Okay. Priming. So we are going to prime, and to prime, it's the 2 clicks that takes us to that long mark there. Did you hear the 2 clicks? You can go back, forwards, you can go wherever you like, back to 0 again. 2 clicks. That's that long mark there. That isn't primed yet. Still not primed. You still have to press this. Now, here's one for you. People have noticed that some people get a jet of a stream of fluid coming out. You don't need to get that. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't get it, because there's plenty of this here to play with. That's what that's for. It's not to give you an extra dose so you save a few quid, which a lot of people do. What it means is you then press that here, and I had a load then, but and you're supposed to hold it for 5 seconds, but once it's done, it's done. And I still had the stream, but I've got plenty. I've got a full dose to go with. This is my last dose, and I'm going to go into my tummy. Let's have a look. Right, so here we are. Before we inject, obviously, we've got to get it on to the right dose. Now, I'm not into counting clicks that some people are, but see, again, for the new people that's out there, get it onto number 1. That one simply means it's 1 dose. You can turn it around. Some people count clicks to have half a dose. That's not what's recommended by the guidelines. And if that works for you, that works for you, but I couldn't really comment on that. So what we need to look at now is 1 dose for the people out there that are just starting out. That is ready to go now. So I'm going into my tummy. I'm going to come back to my right-hand side. Make sure you're 2 inches away from your belly button, and should we come square on this time? Make sure you offer the needle in straight. You don't move it around like this. If you're reaching somewhere that it's not good for you, that's not going to be good. If it's in the upper arm, you want someone else to be doing it because you're overreaching, and the chances of bending the pen in a funny angle will just make it a bit dodgy for you. So just going to come straight in. You can pinch a little bit if you want to. There's no need to. I used to just hold on for some reason. But in order to show you what's happening, let's come as close as we can. Here we go. Straight in. And then press the plunger until it's all in. Now you don't need to wait. They suggest 5 seconds, but just a nice few moments to ensure that it goes in. Straight out. Inspect the site for any blood. I've got a tiny bit, never usually get that. First time for everything. There we go, it stopped already. Then sharp safety. So we're going to put this that we've kept back on here. And then we're going to unscrew that. That then goes in there. And the pen, well, that's done with actually now, but I'm going to put that somewhere safe for the moment. That is the start of week 8. That's my final 5 milligram dose. But I will be going on to, let me show you. This is next week's pen. And if you notice, I'm staying on the 5 milligrams like I said I would. I'm not stepping up. I don't need to. If I feel lethargic and it's working for me on this, I don't want to be going up. People might say, oh, it's time to go up. Tell them if you want to stay on the dose that you're on, stay on the dose that you're on. And then make sure everything's away safely. Put your sharp spin somewhere where it's away from anyone that could get hurt by it. Start of week 8. Let's see how we go. Any questions? I'll try and do some questions the weekend again if you've got any. Please, if you've enjoyed what you've seen, if it's any help to you, I help you, you help me. Subscribe to the channel. It's brilliant. I've even got membership options now if you're interested. And what I'm going to do is, because there's so many comments now, I apologize. I'm not going to be able to get to all the comments. The members ones, there's been a couple of people joined. Obviously, they have priority with getting comments answered. So if that's something that interests you, and it's brilliant, I love you to bits. Thank you so much. It'd be great if you could give me a little like. It sort of helps the algorithm get this out to many people. But as long as I'm helping the people that are already members, I'm happy with that. And this is more about documenting my lifestyle and getting me back to health. But if that helps other people, brilliant. See you on Sunday this week. We'll have the measurements and we'll see how we're getting on the last of the 5 milligram official doses. Have a great week. Let me know how you're getting on. Be good to hear from you. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.